Hi, my name is Selena, and I'm a part of the School of Education at BCU, the Multilingual Ambassadors Program. And today I'll be helping you on how to navigate through your FAFSA application. But first, what is FAFSA? That is the question that everyone asks themselves. Take a moment to kind of think about it, what you've heard about it, and what you do already know about it. But the free application for federal student aid form, otherwise known as FAFSA, is an application to receive funding for college through federal grants, work study, and loans. And please take note that most of these slides are going to have links that you can follow and get more information on. So here we see for more information, you can click on this federal student aid, and it'll take you to a website that will give you more information on the FAFSA. So we often ask ourselves, when should I start thinking about FAFSA, especially if you're in high school transitioning to, the college process. So if you're applying to schools, start thinking about your FAFSA. So prior to beginning your first year at university is when you should begin filing the application and working through it. As you apply to schools, you're going to allow them to access your FAFSA so that the school you choose and go to can promptly begin their process to disperse aid. We'll look at that process later. And according to Sally Mae's FAFSA tips, the earlier you apply, the more financial aid you can receive. And just keep in mind that the FAFSA does open the 1st of every October, and then it closes on the 30th of June. So for example, if you are applying for the August 2023 semester, then the FAFSA application will open this October 2022, and then it will close next year, June 2023. And there is basic eligibility to apply for FAFSA. So the basic requirements, you must demonstrate a financial need for aid, you must be a US citizen or an eligible non-citizen, you must have a high school diploma, GED, or a certifiable high school education in a homeschool setting. And there is more exceptions, so you can click on the Understanding Aid Eligibility website for that. And talking about financial aid and status, as we touched on, you must be a citizen or an eligible non-citizen for FAFSA. So if you have a non-immigrant, undocumented, or DACA status, Virginia does have a way for you to receive some funding, and that's through the Virginia Alternative State Aid Application, or FAFSA for short. So the FAFSA was launched by the State Council for Higher Ed as a way for students with statuses other than citizenship to access higher education. These students are also going to qualify for in-state tuition through the FAFSA, which means you're basically not going to have to pay as an out-of-state student, which often is double the tuition compared to an in-state student. So the Virginia Alternative State Aid does have eligibility requirements just like FAFSA. You must meet the undocumented, DACA, and/or non-immigrant status. You must meet one of the following. So the Commonwealth domicile provision, basically prove you've lived in Virginia for at least 12 months prior and you will continue to live in Virginia. Or the military dependence provision, are you here in Virginia due to military orders? Or the tuition equity provision. So prior to applying for FAFSA, did you attend a Virginia high school for 2 years? If you're still unsure, we do have a survey that you can check out to determine your eligibility requirements, whether you qualify for FAFSA or if you qualify for FAFSA. Now, if you're ready to apply, we do have the FAFSA application link below as well. And resources specifically to the FAFSA-VASA, there is an event called the FAFSA-VASA pop-up party. So look out for those dates. We have volunteers that are ready to assist attendees in filling out both FAFSA and VASA forms. And you can stay up to date by checking out the website through the Virginia College Access Network. And just to keep in mind, they also have other Virginia universities at this event that you can talk to, ask about financial aid. They have volunteer opportunities and just opportunities to get involved with your community as well as scholarships for students. And in general resources, I'd like to point out the Virginia Latino Higher Education Network, or VALHN for short. They offer various leadership and college mentoring opportunities that are fully funded for students, as well as scholarships. So this is geared towards high school students, probably sophomore, junior, seniors, that are ready to kind of begin exploring the world and exploring the college setting. We also have here the in-state tuition guidelines, just to make sure that you do qualify as an in-state resident or in-state student. And we also have available checklists for FAFSA. These are for the parents that are super organized or students who are super organized. Maybe you have a sibling who's in 3rd grade. Parents are thinking about going to high school already. We have a checklist that starts from primary school through high school, kind of giving you checklists and check marks to look through to begin the college process, thinking about college. And just remember, you are encouraged to reach out to your potential school's financial aid office. Just because you don't go to that school doesn't mean they'll shun you. So please remember that. So now we're on the section about filling out your FAFSA, tips and tricks just to help you to get through this very omniscient, scary form. So have a list of schools ready. So this should be a list you're either interested in going to or will be applying for. And it's better to be safe than sorry. So although you may end up applying for 1 or 2 schools, it's free to add schools to your FAFSA school selection, which you see here to the left of my screen. So add all of the schools that you may be interested in. You're going to be adding in this code, and you can just Google it. You don't have to have it prepared, in your head all the time. So for example, the VCU code is 003735 in case you do want to add VCU to your FAFSA form. But this way the schools will have access to look at your financial aid need and be able to build your financial aid package. You will also want to familiarize yourself with some terms like dependent. So this means your needs are covered financially by another person. The FSA ID, which most younger generations know that an ID is a username. However, for parents, you will have to create your own separate profile or account and have your own username. If you're a dependent, you should create a user for yourself and for your parent. Otherwise, you're just only going to create one. Grant, and this usually means that financial aid does not have to be paid back. So if you see the federal Pell Grant in your financial aid package, that means that is money to you for free. You do not have to pay that back. The Student Aid Index, or formerly known as the EFC, Expected Family Contribution, this is just a term used in the process that determines the applicant's eligibility for need-based federal student aid, state, or college aid. Gross income, which you would have to know if you work as well. This is the total income before taxes are taken out, and fuller lists can be found there below in the glossary, and we also have Spanish college terms as well. And as we touched on, there are 3 types of federal student aid. So the first one is the free money, the grants. This is what you want. Grants are usually based on financial need and don't have to be repaid. There are also loans, which is borrowed money, which is what you see all the students on Twitter complaining about all the time. Loans are an investment for your future, but please remember that they have to be repaid with interest. And then number 3, with work study, which means earned money. So this is a job that lets you earn money while you're in school. And I do want to note that a work study is a little bit different than a part-time or a full-time in that the employer essentially understands that you're a college student. College work, school, projects, everything like that is going to be ahead of your job. So they only ask that you work up to upwards 20 hours a week. However, you can do overtime if your supervisor approves it. They also offer just a lot more flexibility than a part-time because they know that you are a student. You will also want to have these documents prepared. So your IRS income tax return, if you're a dependent, you'll need your parent or guardian's IRS income tax return of the prior year, including your own if you work during the tax year requested. So for example, because prior year is a little bit confusing, if you're applying for the 2022-2023 FAFSA, you will be using the 2020 IRS income tax return. So basically about a year or two behind. So examples of some tax returns are like the IRS 1040, 1040A, 1040EZ. You can also use copies of your W-2. You'll also need your social security number or your alien registration number. But if your parents do not have a social security number, but you do, for their financial aid information section, you'll be entering 00000, just 0 all throughout for their social security number. You'll also need a driver's license or another state issued form of identification. So if you're more of a checklist person, you like to physically see things and check them off, put some notes down or whatever it is that you need, we do offer a free PDF copy to a FAFSA checklist that you can look at. And if you're more of a worksheet person, you need some more details, a little deeper look into what the FAFSA process looks like, we also have the FAFSA on the web worksheet that warms you up to questions you'll see and information on the FAFSA as well. So finally, the basics. These are things that I'm really asking you to remember. Make sure you use your legal name that is shown across all forms of identification. Make sure they're spelled right as well, because they will, hark on you for that. Don't leave many blanks on the form. Fill it out to the best of your ability. I will say Google was my best friend throughout this whole process, and it could be yours as well. Double check any information you've entered to avoid mistakes. This is true for any piece of work. And then something that some people do often forget is to sign, date, and submit your online form. So make sure you are doing all of these to the best of your ability, and hopefully you will have a positive experience in filling the FAFSA form.